At 8 p.m., the lights went off in the most expensive apartment building in Lagos. At 8:07 p.m., the lights came back. Inside the penthouse, a billionaire was dead. 7 people were trapped in the building. Nobody entered, nobody left, and the security camera showed the dead man walking alone into his room after he was already supposed to be dead. The 7 minute murder. Episode 1. The Blackout. The murder happened in 7 minutes. That was the part everybody kept repeating. 7 minutes without lights, 7 minutes without cameras, 7 minutes where the elevator stopped, the generator failed, and the whole of Crown Heights Tower stood in darkness above Victoria Island like a black glass coffin. By the time the light returned, Chief Raymond Balogun was dead. He lay on the floor of his private study, one hand gripping his chest, the other stretched towards his desk as if he was trying to reach for something before death took him. His face was twisted, not in pain alone, but in surprise. That interested Detective Clara Dairo, pain was ordinary. Surprise meant the dead man had seen something he did not expect. Crown Heights Tower was not the kind of place where poor people made mistakes. It had silent elevators, armed security, marble floors, imported flowers, and doors that open only when machines recognize your face. Yet a man has been murdered there. Nobody could explain. Clara arrived at 9:12 p.m. Rain was falling softly, touching the glass walls of the building like fingers. Reporters had already gathered outside the gate. Security men were sweating. Rich residents were angry because the police had blocked the exit. Clara stepped out of the car with no hurry. She was a small woman in a dark jacket, with calm eyes and a voice that made people lower their own. The building manager rushed towards her. "Detective, please, this is a very sensitive matter." Chief Balogun was a dead man, Clara said. "The living can wait." The man swallowed. "Yes, of course." She entered the lobby. Inside, 7 people waited. All of them had been in the penthouse before the blackout. All of them had reason to fear the dead man. And perhaps one of them had enough reason to kill him. Episode 2. The 7 Upstairs. Chief Raymond Balogun had invited them himself. That was the first strange thing. He was a man who liked people to come when he called. But that evening's invitation had not been social. It had been a summon. The first guest was the son, Toby Balogun, 32, handsome, polished, and already carrying the bitterness of a man waiting too long for inheritance. The second was his daughter, Jejide. She owned a fashion brand, spoke softly, and looked at her father's portrait in the lobby as if she wished she could burn it. The third was Miss Irene Balogun, the dead man's second wife, beautiful, controlled, and too young to look as tired as she did. The fourth was Pastor Felix Odunayo, Chief Balogun's spiritual advisor, who wore white and smelled faintly of expensive perfume. The fifth was Mr. Kola Martins, the family lawyer. The sixth was Amaka Obi, Chief Balogun's personal assistant. She had swollen eyes but steady hands. The seventh was Dr. Azan Bello, the chief's private doctor. Clara looked at them one by one. People always introduce themselves with clothes before words. Toby wore confidence badly. Jejide wore anger quietly. Irene wore fear like jewelry. Pastor Felix wore holiness like a costume. Kola Martins wore caution. Amaka wore grief. Dr. Bello wore guilt. Clara noticed all of it. "Who found the body?" she asked. Amaka raised her hand slowly. "I did." "What time?" "After the light came back." "You entered the study?" "Yes, the door was opened." "Was it before the blackout?" "No, he had gone in alone." Clara turned to the others. "Nobody entered after him?" "No," Toby said quickly. Too quickly. Clara looked at him. "You are very sure?" "We were all in the lounge when the light went off." "All of you?" "Yes." Clara smiled faintly. "Good, then this will be easy." Nobody looked relieved. Episode 3. The Dead Man's Study. The study was large, cold, and expensive. Books lined on one wall, but Clara suspects most of them has never been opened. On the desk stood a laptop, a silver pen, a half-filled glass of water, and a small white medicine bottle. The dead man lay near the desk. Clara bent down beside him. No blood, no wound, no sign of struggle. His lips had a faint blue tint. She turned to Dr. Bello. "Heart attack?" The doctor hesitated. "He had a heart condition." "That is not what I asked." "It could look like a heart attack." Many mothers do. The doctor went silent. Clara examined the desk again. The laptop screen was open, but locked. Beside it was a printed document with only one visible line. I know who stole from me. Tonight, I will name the thief. Clara read it twice. Then she looked at the 7 people standing at the door. So this is why he invited you. No one answered. She picked up the medicine bottle with a tissue. What is this? Dr. Bello stepped forward. His heart medication. Who gave it to him? I prescribed it. Who handled it today? Dr. Bello hesitated again. I brought a refill. When? This evening. Clara turned the bottle slowly. The label was clean. Too clean. What happened during the blackout? She asked. Amaka spoke first. The lights went off. Everybody started talking. Miss Irene screamed. I did not scream, Irene said sharply. You did, Yejide said. I was startled. By darkness or by guilt, Toby muttered. Irene turned on him. Be careful. Clara raised one hand. Enough. The room obeyed. That was when she heard something small. A faint click. She turned. The air conditioner had restarted. Cold air moved across the room, carrying a smell Clara had not noticed before. Bitter almonds. Very faint. Very dangerous. She looked again at the dead man. Not heart attack. Poison. Episode 4. The camera problem. The building had cameras everywhere. Lobby, hallway, elevator, penthouse entrance, service corridor, but not inside the chief's private study. That was his rule. The security footage showed him entering his study at 7:54 p.m. alone. At 8 p.m., blackout. At 8:07 p.m., light returned. At 8:08 p.m., Amaka ran to the study door and screamed. Simple. Too simple. Then, the head of security showed Clara one more clip. It was from the hallway camera before the blackout. At 7:58 p.m., Chief Balogun appeared at the study doorway. He stepped out halfway, looked down the hall, then returned inside. The camera froze at 8 p.m. Normal, but there was a problem. According to Dr. Bello's first examination, Chief Balogun had likely died before 7:58 p.m. Clara watched the clip again. The dead man was walking. No, not dead. Mistaken time of death or mistaken man. The footage was not clear enough to show his face fully. It showed his white kaftan, his height, his limb, his gold walking stick. Clara looked at the screen. A rich man's life was full of things other people could borrow. His clothes, his habits, his power, even his shape. Episode 5. Motives in marble rooms. Clara questioned Toby first. He sat with one ankle over his knee, trying to look bored. My father was dramatic, he said. He enjoyed threatening people. He said he would name a thief. Toby smiled. Then maybe he should have named himself. He stole from everybody, including you. He controlled my account, my shares, my company, everything. So, his death frees you. It frees many people. Did you kill him? No. Did you enter his study? No. Did you wear his white tonight? Toby frowned. What kind of question is that? The useful kind. He looked away. I wore this. A navy blue suit. Expensive. Perfect. Almost too perfect. Next was Yejide. She did not sit until Clara asked her to. My father ruined my mother, she said before Clara began. Your mother was his first wife? Yes. She died? She disappeared from public life. That is another kind of death. Did your father invite you because of money? He accused me of stealing from one of his accounts. Did you? Yes. Clara waited. Yejide lifted her chin. I took money he stole from my mother's family. I used it to pay staff he had refused to pay for years. You admit theft easily. I admit correction. Clara liked her answer. That did not make her innocent. Irene came next. Chief was going to divorce you, Clara said. Irene's face tightened. Who told you? Your face, when I mentioned inheritance. Irene laughed weakly. You are dangerous. No, only observant. Yes, Irene whispered. He wanted to divorce me. He said I had become expensive. Did he have any proof of anything? Her eyes flickered. Clara noticed. He had videos, Irene said. With another man? With Pastor Felix. Clara did not react. Irene looked ashamed for the first time. He was not my lover, she said quickly. Not like that. He was helping me live. Pastors help in many ways. Irene's mouth hardened. I know how it sounds, but no, I did not kill my husband. Pastor Felix denied everything with a smile. Lawyer Kala denied knowledge with sweat. Amaka cried without tears. Dr. Bailey said little. By the end of the first round, Clara knew one thing. Every one of them had something to hide, but only one had hidden it well. Episode 6: The Poison Bottle. The autopsy confirmation came faster than expected. Cyanide. A small amount, but enough. The poison had entered through the mouth. The medicine bottle became the center of the case. Chief Balogun took one tablet every evening at 7:50 p.m. At 7:54, he entered the study. At 8:07, he was dead. Dr. Bello had supplied the bottle. Amaka had placed it on the table. Irene had been seen near the study earlier. Toby had financial motive. Yedide admitted stealing. Pastor Felix had scanned out to hide. Kola had prepared documents. The city outside continued shining, unaware that on the top floor, 7 polished lives were cracking open. Clara sat alone in the study close to midnight. She opened the medicine bottle and poured the tablets onto a white paper, all identical, small, round, white, except one thing. 3 tablets had a faint scratch on the edge. She held one closer. Someone had opened the capsules. No. Those were compressed tablets. Could poison be added outside? Yes, but bitter. The chief would notice. Unless he did not swallow the tablet with water. Clara looked at the glass. Half full. No poison. Then she looked at the silver pen. She picked it up. Heavy. Personalized. RB. A rich man pen. She clicked it open. Empty. No ink. Strange. A man who kept a useless pen on his desk? No. A man who kept a pen that was not a pen. Clara unscrewed it. Inside was a thin glass tube. Broken. And dry. She smiled faintly. The poison had not been in the medicine bottle. It had been in the pen. Episode 7: The Document. The printed paper on the table became important. I know who stole from me. Tonight, I will name the thief. Clara asked Kola Martins about it. He cleaned his glasses before answering. Chief dictated it. When? This afternoon. Why print only one line? It was the heading of a longer statement. Where is the rest? He said he would complete it himself. Was he good with computers? Kola hesitated. No. So who helped him? Amaka. Amaka looked startled when Clara asked. Yes, I typed for him, but I only typed the heading. He told me to leave. Did you know who the thief was? No. Did you steal from him? Her face changed. There it was. Not guilt. Pain. Yes, she whispered. The others turned. Amaka swallowed. My brother needed surgery. Chief refused to pay my salary for 3 months. I transferred money from a petty account. How much? 2 million naira. Toby laughed. My father would kill for less. Amaka stared at him. Yes, that is why I feared him. Did he know? He called me this morning. He says tonight everybody will know what I was. Did you kill him? No. Did you touch his pen? No. Clara believed the last answer, not because Amaka was innocent, because she looked confused by the pen. Elijah recognizes danger faster. Episode 8: The Man Who Walked After Death. At 1:20 a.m., Clara watched the hallway footage again. Chief Balogun stepped out at 7:58 p.m. White kaftan, gold walking stick, slight limp, then back into the room. The body on the floor later wore the same white kaftan, but Clara noticed the walking stick. In the video, the stick was in the left hand. On the floor beside the body, the stick lay near his right hand. She called security. Was Chief Balogun left-handed? No, madam. Right-handed. Did he use the stick on the right? Yes, Clara paused the video. Whoever stepped out at 7:58 used the stick wrongly. So someone dressed like him. Why? To make the camera believe he was still alive after he died. That changed everything. The murder had happened before 7:58, before the blackout. The blackout was not used to kill, it was used to confuse. But who could wear the chief's clothes, imitate his limb, and return without being seen? Someone already in the study, or someone with access to the bedroom wardrobe connected to the study? Clara examined the floor plan. Penthouse lounge, private corridor, study, bedroom, bathroom, dressing room, service door. There it was. The dressing room had a hidden service entrance used by staff, not on the main hallway camera. Amaka knew it. Irene knew it. Possibly Toby. Possibly Yejide. Dr. Bello had used it during medical visit. Pastor Felix. Maybe. Kola. Unlikely. The impossible circle widened again. Episode 9. The first light that broke. At dawn, Clara called Irene. You lied about screaming. Irene looked exhausted. I told you I was startled. You screamed before the blackout. Irene froze. Clara continued. Several people heard you. At 7:58, 4 minutes before the light failed. Irene's lips trembled. I saw something. What? She covered her face. Chief on the floor. Clara went still. You saw him dead before the blackout. I thought he had fainted. The study door was slightly open. I looked in and saw him lying there. Why didn't you raise alarm? Because Pastor Felix pulled me away. Clara turned to the pastor who sat nearby. His holiness disappeared. You entered the study? Clara asked him. No. Irene laughed bitterly. Stop lying. You said if he was dead, God has delivered us. Pastor Felix stood. That woman is unstable. Clara raised one hand. Sit. He sat. Irene continued. Felix said if we called people immediately, they would suspect us because of the videos. He said we should wait. Then the light went off. Did you touch the body? No. Did he? Irene looked at Pastor Felix. Yes. What did he touch? The decks. The paper. Maybe the pen. Pastor Felix shouted. She is lying. Clara looked at him. She may be, but you are sweating like the truth is chasing you. Pastor Felix did not speak again. Now they had a dead body seen before blackout. The pastor who touched the decks. A false appearance on camera 2 minutes later. And still, Clara was not satisfied. Pastor Felix was foolish. The crime was not. Episode 10. The Doctor's Silence. Dr. Bello was the next crack. Clara found him in the kitchen drinking water from a bottle with shaking hands. You knew the time of death was wrong, she said. He lowered the bottle. I was not sure. You were sure enough to be afraid. He sat down heavily. Chief was dead before the blackout. And you said it could be after. I did not say. I allowed confusion. Why? The doctor closed his eyes. Because I brought the medicine bottle. But the poison was not in the medicine. His eyes opened. You know? Yes. He breathed out slowly. Then I was a coward for nothing. Cowardice is rarely for nothing. Who were you protecting? He rubbed his eyes. Myself. Chief knew I had been giving him fake medical reports. Why? His heart was worse than he knew. Toby paid me to make it look manageable. I was silent. Toby. Again. Why would Toby do that? So his father could continue signing business documents. If Chief knew how close he was to death, he might freeze everything. Did Toby kill him? Dr. Bello hesitated. I don't know. But you suspect him. I suspect everyone in this house. At last, Clara said. An intelligible answer. Episode 11. Yejide's button. The smallest clue came from the floor. A black button. It rolled under the study curtain. Clara found it when daylight entered the room. It was not from the dead man's white kaftan, not from Toby's navy suit, not from Irene's dress, not from Amaka's blouse, not from Dr. Bello's shirt. Pastor Felix wore white. Kola Martins wore a black jacket. One button missing. Clara called him. Mr. Kola looked at the button and immediately touched his sleeves. There it was, a missing button. When did you enter the study? Clara asked. I did not. Clara placed the button on the table. Try again. His shoulder fell. I entered before dinner. Why? Chief called me. What did you want? To sign a confession. What confession? Kola's voice dropped. He had been moving company's money through accounts under families' names. He planned to blame one person for the theft tonight. Who? Yejide. Yejide stood up sharply. What? Kola would not look at her. He said she had already stolen once. People would believe it. Clara turned to Yejide. Her face was pale with rage. My father invited me here to destroy me? Kola nodded. He wanted to protect Toby. Toby had lost money. Huge money. The room exploded. Toby shouted. Yejide moved towards him. Irene cried. Pastor Felix began praying loudly. Clara let them break for a moment. People forgot to act innocent when insulted by truth. Through it all, Amaka said nothing. She only stared at the floor. Clara noticed. Episode 12. Amaka's second secret. Clara followed Amaka to the balcony. The city below was waking up. Cars moved like small insects through wet roads. Lagos had no respect for private tragedy. You knew, Clara said. Amaka gripped the railing. About what? That Chief plans to blame Yejide. Amaka closed her eyes. Yes. Why didn't you say? Because I helped type the documents. You typed the false confession? He dictated. I typed. And you still say you did not kill him? I did not. But you wanted to. Amaka laughed softly. Detective, if one thing killed people, every rich man in Lagos would sleep with one eye open. Some already do. Amaka looked back inside. He enjoyed making people dirty. If you were clean, he would throw mud on you, and that's why you look stained. Did you enter the study after typing? No. Did you know about the service entrance? Yes. Who used it tonight? Amaka became still. There. The door inside her closed. Amaka. She shook her head. If I tell you, someone's life will finish. A man's life has already finished. He was already dead inside. That is not the law. No, Amaka said, but it is sometimes the truth. Clara softened her voice. Who used the service entrance? Amaka whispered. Toby. Finally. Episode 13. Toby's performance. Toby was a better liar when he had warning. Unfortunately for him, Clara gave none. You used the service entrance at 7:55 p.m., she said. He blinked. No. Amaka saw you. Amaka is a thief. Thieves can see. He stood. I want my lawyer. He is sitting over there, missing a button and looking unwell. Kola Martins did not lift his head. Clara stepped closer. You entered the study after your father died. Toby's face changed. Not fear. Calculation. Prove it. You wore his pale white kaftan from the dressing room. You took his walking stick. You stepped into the hallway at 7:58 so the camera would record him alive. That is madness. You used the stick in your left hand. Your father used his right. Silence. The others turned towards him. Clara continued. You did not kill him with poison, but you staged the time of death. Why? Toby's mouth twisted. Because if he died before signing, everything would scatter. I needed time to find the documents. What documents? The ones blaming Yejide, the ones protecting me. Yejide whispered. You knew? Toby looked at her. You stole first. To pay workers. You still stole. Clara caught him. So when you found him dead, you did not call for help. He was dead. You dressed as him. I panicked. No, Clara said. You performed. Toby looked trapped now, but not guilty enough. He had staged. He had lied, but he had not poisoned. Clara could feel it. The murderer was still behind the mirror. Episode 14. The useless pen. Clara returned the pen. The poison tube inside had broken. But why a pen? Who knew Chief Balogun clicked his pen before taking medicine? That was the habit everyone had missed. The security man said Chief always carries a gold walking stick. Amaka said he took medicine at 7:50. Dr. Bello knew his drugs. Toby knew his clothes. Irene knew his room. But who knew the pen habit? Clara asked each of them. Toby, he clicked pens when angry. Yejide, he clicked them before signing things. Irene, he clicked them when thinking. Pastor Felix, he clicked during prayer meetings. Very distracting. Amaka, he clicked before taking tablets. Always. Click. Tablets. Water. Dr. Bello, I never noticed. One of them lied. Not because the answer was false, but because the answer was too small to hide unless it mattered. Clara thought of the poison. Cyanide in a glass tube inside the pen. When clicked, the tube broke and released liquid onto the fingers or into the tablet. No, she tested the pen's action. Click. A tiny spray emerged from the nib. Not for writing, for mist. A poisoned mist. The chief clicked the pen, then held his tablet, then swallowed. Poison transferred to his finger and tablet. Elegant. Personal. Prepared. The killer needed access to the pen before the meeting and knowledge of the habit. Amaka had both. Too obvious. But Clara remembered something. Amaka said, click. Tablet. Water. Not pen. She had described sound, habit, sequence. A personal assistant would know. So would a wife. So would a child. But the person who designed the pen knew mechanics. Who among them used devices, props, small tricks? Pastor Felix. He ran televised miracle service. He used hidden earpiece, stage light, oil dispenser, and dramatic objects. A poisoned pen would suit a fake miracle worker. But why would he kill Chief before the videos were exposed? To protect himself and Irene. Possible. Still too dramatic. Clara looked at the pen again. The initials, RB, were engraved, but the engraving was near, too sharp. Then the pen had not belonged to Chief for long. It was a gift. Who gave him this pen? Clara asked. The room went silent. Then Irene said, Pastor Felix. Pastor Felix closed his eyes. The trap seemed to shut, but Clara waited, because traps also catch the wrong animal. Episode 15. The Pastor's Miracle. Pastor Felix confessed to the pen, not to murder. I gave it to him, he said. When? 3 days ago. Why? He asked for a special pen. He wanted something impressive for tonight. He asked you? Yes. Why you? Pastor Felix hesitated. Because I know someone who imports executive gifts. Clara placed the pen before him. Did you alter it? No. Did you know it could spray liquid? He swallowed. No. Do not insult me. He broke. It was for anointing oil. The room went silent. What? He looked ashamed. For church, some pen spray oil during prayer. People think the anointing appears by miracle. Irene stared at him with disgust. You told me you stopped those things. He lowered his head. She found out. He laughed. He asked for one. Said it would be useful for a lesson. A lesson for whom? Clara asked. Pastor Felix shook his head. I don't know. Now Clara understood something important. The poisoned pen had not been smuggled into the house. Chief himself had requested the object, meaning the killer used the dead man's own cruelty against him. Who knew he had requested the pen? Pastor Felix. Possibly Irene. Possibly Amaka, if she handled deliveries. Chief. And whoever had been close enough to hear. Clara turned to Irene. You knew about the pen? Irene whispered. Yes. Did you touch it? No. Did you know it sprayed oil? Yes. Did Chief know? Yes. He said he would expose Felix and me together. Pastor Felix looked at her. You said he only had videos. He had everything, Irene snapped. He always had everything. Clara watched them. Fear can kill, but humiliation kills faster. Episode 16. The person who was not invited. The breakthrough came from the lobby register. Clara asked for it only because something troubled her. 7 people had been in the penthouse, but the chief had invited 6. Toby, Yejide, Irene, Pastor Felix, Kola, Amaka, Dr. Bello. 7. But Amaka worked here. She had not received an invitation. She was already part of the house. So why did Chief include her in the meeting? To accuse her? Maybe. The lobby register showed one more name earlier that day. Miss D. Balogun. Clara looked at the building manager. Who is this? He looked uncomfortable. Chief's first wife. I was told she disappeared from public life. Yes, she lives in Ikoyi. She came around 4 p.m. Why was I not told? Nobody answered. Rich families are very good at deleting women from stories. What time did she leave? 4:42 p.m. Did she go upstairs? Yes. Who received her? Amaka. Clara turned slowly. Amaka had not mentioned this. By evening, Clara sat across from the first Miss Balogun. Her name was Damilola. She was in her late 50s, elegant, calm, and almost too composed. She did not look like a woman abandoned by power. She looked like a woman who had survived it. So why did you visit your ex-husband yesterday? Clara asked. To warn him. About what? His children. Which one? All of them. Clara waited. Damilola smiled slightly. You are patient. That is good. Raymond hated patient people. They made him nervous. Did you give him the pen? No. Did you see the pen? Yes. On his desk. Pastor Felix miracle toy. You knew? I knew many things. Did you touch it? No. Did you know he planned to blame Yejide? Her smile disappeared. Yes. Did you fail Yejide? No. Why not? Because my daughter would have gone there and burned the whole building down with her hanger. Clara believed that. Who did you tell? Damilola looked at her for a long time, then said, nobody. That was the lie. Not a big lie, a mother's lie. And Clara finally saw the shape of the mother. Not greed. Protection. Episode 17. The Shocker. Clara gathered everyone in the penthouse at sunset. The same city glittered beyond the glass. The same room held the same people. But now, none of them looked rich. They looked human. Clara placed the objects on the table. The medicine bottle, the useless pen, the black button, the lobby register, the printed documents. Chief Raymond Balogun was not murdered during the blackout, she began. He was dead before it. The blackout was useful only because it allowed the lights to move around in darkness. No one spoke. Toby found him dead and staged the hallway appearance. He wore his father's kaftan and used his walking stick in the wrong hand. That was foolish, but not murder. Toby looked away. Pastor Felix supplied the pen, a fake miracle device that could spray liquid. Shameful, but not murder. Pastor Felix closed his eyes. Dr. Bello hid the real time of death because he had falsified medical reports. Kola Martins hid financial crimes. Amaka stole money. Irene hid scandal. Yedide stole from her father and was about to be framed by him. Yedide's face hardened, but none of them poisoned the pen. Clara turned towards the doorway. Miss Damilola Balogun did not kill her ex-husband either. Everyone turned. Damilola stood there. Beside her was Amaka. Clara looked at Amaka. You did. The room froze. Amaka did not react. That was answer enough. Clara continued. You knew Chief's habits. You knew he clicked the pen before taking medicine. You knew Pastor Felix had supplied the device. You had access to the study. You typed the documents he planned to use to destroy Yejide. And most importantly, you received Miss Damilola at 4 p.m. Amaka's face remained still. Miss Balogun had told you what Chief planned. Not because she wanted him dead, because she wanted someone in the house to warn Yejide. Damilola whispered, Amaka. Clara's voice sharpened. But Amaka did not want Yejide. She prepared the pen. Yejide stood slowly. Why? For the first time, Amaka looked at her. Because it was not only going to blame you. She reached into her handbag and brought out a folded paper. Clara knew what it was. A medical report. Amaka placed it on the table. My brother did not need surgery because of an accident. She said, my brother needed surgery because Chief Balogun's company dumped chemical waste behind our estate. Children played there. People got sick. He buried the report. The room went silent in a new way. He knew. Irene whispered. Amaka laughed softly. He signed it. She looked at Yejide. I stole money for my brother's treatment, yes. But yesterday, the mother came and told me Chief would accuse you publicly. Then I saw the full document. He would blame you for the missing company's funds too. The same fund connected to the waste case. Once they blame you, the record would disappear. My brother's case would die. Other families would never know. Clara said quietly, so you killed him. Amaka's eyes filled at last. No, I stopped him. That is what murderers often call it. Amaka turned to her. And what do the powerful call it when they kill slowly with signatures? Clara did not answer, because the answer was everywhere. In the glass tower, in the medicine, in the silence of the people paid to look away. Still, the law had a name for what Amaka had done. Murder. And the names mattered. Amaka held out her hands before anyone asked. I am ready. Yejide began to cry. Not for her father, but for the truth. Episode 18. The final cut. They took Amaka away as the city lights came on. Outside, reporters shouted questions. Inside, nobody moved. The case was closed. Chief Raymond Balogun had invited his enemy to witness his control. Instead, one of the people he had made powerless used his performance against him. The fake miracle pen, the false document, the stage blackout, the rich man's habit. Everything that made him untouchable became the road to his death. Clara stood by the study window before leaving. Below, Lagos glittered like it had no conscience. Yejide came to stand beside her. Did they call Amaka a monster? She asked. Yes. Was she? Clara watched the police car move through the gate. She killed a man. That is not what I asked. Clara was quiet for a while. Then she said, a good mystery asks who did it, but a better one asks what made it possible. Yejide wiped her face. And what made this possible? Clara looked around the room, the marble floor, the hidden cameras, the locked accounts, the fake miracles, the quiet doctor, the obedient lawyer, the family trained to fear one man. Then she said, everybody did. By the next morning, the newspaper called it 7-minute murder. They were wrong. The murder did not happen in 7 minutes. It had been happening for years. The blackout only gave it darkness.
Okay, send me the location.